All right, so looking at, let's look at a couple of these problems. We'll just go on and do 59 through 61, function notation here, and composite functions. So finding f of -2 is as simple as plugging it in. So we're just going to make sure that we get exactly the right answer and not make any mistakes along the way. So we'll say that f of -2, wonder if I can get my pen a little smaller than this. Yeah, that's better. There we go. F of -2, looks like t equals -2 absolute value 3, whoops, not a 2, but a 3, -2 minus 5, absolute value closed, plus 6. And so hopefully this feels simple enough. We'll just replace 3 times -2 with -6. And then if we're super careful, we'll realize that -6 and -5 are going to, we have to make sure that it becomes more negative. It's just a negative minus another number. So more negative means it will become -11. So let's go on and put that. And then just to avoid complications, let me go on and put the absolute value symbols here. Just copy everything down here. I don't want to make any mistakes. I also, often these bars can look like 1. So sometimes it helps to make them a little bit longer than usual, just to be sure there's nothing screwy going on there. All right, so that's what that equals now. So what is this? What is the absolute value of -11? I like to think of it as a distance. So absolute value shows the distance from something. This is -11 is the same distance as regular 11. If you start from 0 and you went to 11 here, this would be the same distance as going to -11. Between here and here would be the same as here and here. And that's all that absolute value really shows. So I'm just going to rewrite this now as -2, because I didn't need to cross that out, -2 times 11. And I'm just putting that in parentheses to remind me that these are still being multiplied, so I don't make any mistakes there either. I'm gonna get rid of my side notes here because we're going to need a little more space. Bring this up here, -2 times 11 will be -22. I don't know why I wrote that funny, plus 6. All right, and if I take 6 away from 22 and make sure this is negative since that's bigger, then I'll have what, 16? Yeah, because 16, if I'm ever not sure, 16 plus 6 would give 22, and it's got to be negative. That's the answer. So that's all we really have to be careful of there. Let's keep going. We've got now composite functions to deal with. And let me just give a quick heads up. Both this and this are the same. They're different notations that mean the same thing. In other words, I could rewrite this as g of h of 4. I can rewrite it that way, and I could rewrite this as f of g of 8. They are the same thing. They mean the same thing. Personally, I find this notation right here to be easier to read than this notation down here. But at this point, it's just worth understanding they mean exactly the same thing. But then that means order matters. Order really matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus just on h of 4 right now, just on h of 4, since that is the innermost. We always start from the inside out. So we start at the innermost and then we work our way to the left or out, I like to think, because there's a little parenthesis out here too. So inside out. So inside out means we're going to start here. We're going to do the same thing actually that we did up here. We're just going to plug in 4. So h of 4 equals 2 times 4 to the third. Now 4 to the third is 64. I happen to know that, but you can use your calculator. So this is equal to 2 times 64, which is equal to 128. All right, now this is just a partial answer because they didn't ask what h of 4 is. They wanted to know what g of h of 4 is. So we need to go one more out. Let me make this pink maybe. We're gonna have to go one more out here. We finished h of 4. Let's now plug in what we had. Notice there's an x here instead now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this partial answer. We're going to plug it right into, let's see, where can I go? We're going to plug it into there. All right, so now we can think of this as the question, what is g of 128? And that will be obviously 3 root 128 plus 5. All right, so now we've got to figure out, well, 128, let's just 3 root, what's 128 plus 5? 8 plus 5 is 13, so I'll just make this 133. So it's going to be 3 times root 133, and I happen to know that 133 is not a square number, and this is a square root. So since I can't think of any numbers off the bat, it may even be a prime number for all I know. But anyway, I can't think of any multiples or factors, I should say, excuse me, factors of 133 that might be also squares and could come out. So I can't think of factors that are squares. 133 isn't a square. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. This is good enough for me. This is good enough for me. It should be good enough for your teacher. All right. Let's do one more just to get the hang of this. So, and we'll stick with color coding things here. We're going to, again, if inside out isn't helping with thinking about this one, you can rewrite it. You are welcome to. There's no reason why you can't somewhere on the page just rewrite it so that you're not confused, so that F is on the left and G is on the right. This is fine. Or you can just think of it as going from left to right. That's totally fine too. So we'll do G of 8 first, and then we'll do F of 8. So either way is fine. Let's go on and do that. Let's do G of 8. So we have to start with that one. G of 8. That's going to be equal to negative 4 times root 8 times 8, excuse me, times 8 plus 9. Okay, that's going to be negative 4 root 16 plus 9, which is actually going to be 25. Now 25, let me be very careful where I write that so that doesn't look funny. 25 is indeed a square number. It's equal to 5 squared. So that and that are going to cancel. In case that was a little bit much at once, let's just write that part again. So all I'm saying is that 25 happens to be the same thing as 5 squared, and a square and a square root cancel out. So now I'm left with negative 4 times what's left over. 5 is left over. That's going to be equal to negative 20. Again, partial solution, not the end of the game. We got to keep going. Now let's do F of G of 8, or that is G of 8 was negative 20. So now we just got to do F of 20. In fact, sorry, I got to be very careful. Negative 20. I don't want to put a positive where it should have been negative. F of negative 20. All right, if we do that, then we will get, I'll keep things color coded because that sometimes looks really pretty to me and hopefully is easier to follow for you. Minus 10. All right. Let's see. So we've got negative 20 squared is going to be a positive number. Any negative number squared is a positive number because a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm only going to think about what 20 squared is. 2 times 2 is 4. And 10 times 10 would give us, well, so in other words, we're going to have 2 zeros because 10 times 10 is going to give 100. I realized I was doing that in my head instead of on paper. So we're just thinking of this as 20 times 20, 2 and 2 being 4. We're going to have 2 zeros because 10 times 10 is 400. You probably get that already, but just in case, whoops. Okay, I'll just leave that there then. I was trying to cover that up. All right, so 6 times 400 minus 10. 6 times 4 is 2,400. Yeah, that sounds right. Minus 10. If I take 10 away from 400, I'll be left with 390. That's the answer I'm banking on for now. So I hope this helped. Just be careful, go slow, try not to make any mistakes. Number one mistake that people make are negatives. Watch the negatives. Either you put a negative number where it shouldn't be, or a positive number. Yet that is, you put a negative number where it should be positive, or a positive number where it should be negative. Don't do either mistake. Avoid that. Try and be very careful and cautious. Watch the negatives. That's the biggest thing to look out for. All right. See you on the other side.